Aesthetics Board, dear Lina, Chair of Aesthetics, and Andrea and Lucia, of course, dear guests, dear presenters, Dr. Željka Jelavić and Marija Živković, thank you for being with us today. Today, the presentation, the theme will be difficult heritage, ethical issues on colonialism, racism, and marginalized in museums. We will be presented one exhibition from the Ethnographic Museum in Zagreb. The title of the exhibition is Travelers. So I don't like to take more time, and I leave the stage to Dr. Željka Jelavić and Marija Živković. Please share your presentation.
Just a second. It is always very difficult to find right button.
There should be a little green arrow at the bottom saying share.
Yeah. It's okay. Can you see
yeah? Yes, we can see it. Perfect.
Okay. So now, just a second. Where should the slideshow is there? From the beginning. So welcome to our presentation. It's a great honor for the two of us to present our new exhibition and to open discussion about ethical issues. But before we start, just a couple of words about the Ethnographic Museum in Zagreb, Croatia. The museum was established in 1919, and the majority of our collections are related to textile, to national folk costumes, but we also have a small, comparing to European museums, collection of non-European cultures. There are about 40 people working now at the Ethnographic Museum, and Maria is the curator, museum advisor of the collection of the non-European cultures, and I myself am head of a museum education team. So now, Maria, please share your thoughts and how actually the Travelers become one of our main exposition nowadays.
Okay, thanks, Željka, and thank you for the opportunity to present our latest exhibition and to share some attempts or perhaps missteps, but in any case, the dilemmas that I'm sure I share with many who work on these topics. So it is important to note at the outset that the permanent exhibition of non-European collection in our museum remained almost unchanged from 1972 until last year, when it was replaced by the Travelers exhibition. The permanent exhibition was organized, so the old permanent exhibition was organized geographically, providing basic information about objects and including large texts that aim to give the ethnographic overview of a region, for example, India or Australia, through about 30 objects or so. In other words, it attempted to present a complete picture through fragments. And that was exactly the reason why the new exhibition Travelers was designed to give the context in which the collection was created and developed. And I think we owe this to our local audience after 52 years of this old permanent exhibition. For me, it was important to draw the attention to some important topics that maybe local people think we have have nothing to do with us, as well as to those topics that are controversial in our society. And of course, that not have been possible without many collaborators from both the museum and outside it. But let's let's start from the beginning. The origins of collection date back to the second half of the 19th century, when the National Museum in Zagreb was founded during the Croatian national revival. Although Croatia was never a colonial power, rather, for most of its history was subordinated to other imperial hegemons, individuals were involved in the export of cultural artifacts from non-European countries. So this initial collection of around 1,500 objects is almost entirely the result of individual participation in colonial and imperial affairs. While objects from Croatian material and intangible culture were meant to testify to its rich cultural heritage, items from non-European cultures were used to position Croatia alongside the great European colonial powers. So just to have a brief introduction in our museum. With the founding of the Ethnographic Museum in 1919, these objects became part of the non-European collection. At the beginning it was called exotic. And this collection was later filled with gifts from missionaries, travelers, and other individuals. Items collected in the second half of the 20th century should be viewed within the context of Yugoslav anti-colonial policy and non-aligned movement. Today, collection contains more than 3,500 objects, with the largest number from Africa, then Asia, Australia, South America, and Oceania. In the introductory part of the exhibition, we highlighted the connection between colonialism, the creation of national museums, collection of non-European artifacts, and the beginnings of ethnology and cultural anthropology as a field of academic study. We also explored different approaches to exhibiting and engaging with colonial heritage. In discussing the use of the sensitive terminology, we provided examples from our old permanent display as a sort of a way of self-reflection. For instance, it is still often stated in media especially that Dragutin Lerman, as colonial officer in the Congo, discovered waterfalls on the Kwilu River and named them after the Croatian noble family Zrinski, ignoring that the local inhabitants already had a name for them. Self-reflection is also central to the animated film that we prepared especially for this exhibition, in which my colleague Damian Roce examines how Dragutin Lerman's life and work in Congo have been represented in both public discourse and in our museum for the past 20 years and even more. So again, it is important to say that Croatia had a dual position in global processes. While the West viewed Croatia as exotic other, the local people adopting colonial cultural stereotypes regarded non-European peoples and their culture similarly. And this is why, through this glossary, we tried to explain in short and accessible texts some of the key concepts, such as colonialism, race, racism, stereotypes, ethnocentrism, and so on, and connect them to the local examples in order to raise awareness of how such concepts have operated within our own society. For instance, we presented plaster models of so-called racial types, you can see that here, that were used in Croatian schools in the 19th century. We also highlighted the racial laws enacted against Jews, Roma, and Serbs in Croatia during the Second World War, or, for example, the ways in which certain groups in Croatia continue to experience privilege today. Another section of the exhibition titled Global Journey of People and Things. With this section, we sought to overcome the century-old divide between Croatian and non-European parts of the permanent display. This is something that our museum has not yet fully achieved. So the non-European collection has long been perceived as disconnected from the other collections of the ethnographic museums, and this encouraged us to follow the thing method, tracing initially invisible connections among objects across all our collections. And these connections were shaped by the system through which they were produced, distributed, and consumed. So through a series of stories about objects, often regarded as everyday or as part of one's own tradition, we aimed to highlight their movement across networks of trade, colonialism, and consumption. The next section of the exhibition emphasized specific donors of the collection, precisely 7 of them. And with presenting our donators, we aim to shed light on the historical context in which they operated and created their collections. Their fascinating biographies allow us to discuss topics such as Orientalism and self-Orientalism, Japonism, the role of European explorers, travel writing, the exploitation of natural resources, the idea of noble savage, even the Brazilian idea of racial democracy. One of those themes is the non-aligned movement, which aim to support nations in their struggles for freedom and independence from political domination and economic exploitation. Collaboration among member states also led to the establishment of cultural ties, especially in the field of education. Exchanges of students and experts led to the arrival of foreign students to Yugoslavia, and Yugoslav experts traveling to other states. Some collections now hosted in our museum were gathered during this period by professionals who participated in such exchanges. Along with being an essential theme for the context of our collection, it was also important to us to bring this topic into the public space. Since this heritage is rather invisible in other Croatian museums, except just few private museums. Last weekend, I attended a conference, Socialism on the Bench, and we discussed some ideas how maybe these legacies, anti-colonial ideas as the legacies of non-aligned movement, could pave the way to the new approach to the decolonization of museums, one that would not follow the efforts of former colonial powers, but instead draw our own specific context. But I hope we will have the opportunity to discuss or to develop these ideas more, but I find it rather interesting for our case. When we speak about the objects in the exhibition, it was important also to note that donors had very different motives when collecting objects. Some were encouraged, for example, by the colonial administration and focused mainly on aesthetics. Others wanted to contribute to science, while some were interested in textile techniques to improve local industry. And my biggest challenge was choosing what and how to display. The cases, as you can see here, that I used, they date back to the 1972. And since there was no budget for new ones, I had to adopt my concept of the exhibition to the limitations of these old cases. and they were designed to host as much as possible objects. And for me, it was important to show every piece with some kind of care. And since it wasn't possible really to provide a broader context for each of these objects on display, so I sought to communicate some kind of message through these objects on display. For example, to be clear somehow. For example, carved ivory demonstrates how Congolese artists resisted colonial brutality. And Kissi figures from Congo, once called fetishes in European museums, show how religious concepts were misunderstood. Aboriginal bone containers linked to the Aboriginal memorial honoring those who died during British occupation. Amazonian Litioko dolls or Korhogo paintings from Ivory Coast reflect survival through market production, and so on. I would like to discuss maybe this later, because I find it very difficult to exhibit objects without the context, and I'm not an expert from Africa to Australia, South America, Asia. I really needed to find some strong message that I would like to give to our audience. And at the end of the exhibition, after this section of the presenting the donors, we presented an academic project by the Institute of Ethnology and Folklore Research in Zagreb. The name of the project is the European Irregularized Migration Regime at the Periphery of the European Union. And the ethnographic map that you can see here, along with these photographs and small texts, offers an incomplete and fragment depiction of sites of racialized social segregation, desirable and undesirable migration and existence. This map serves as a postscript, counterpoint, or even an epilogue to the studies of non-European cultures. This project was chosen to clearly express our stance and also to serve as a starting point for programs, past and upcoming, that address a topic largely, again, invisible and often considered undesirable in our society. And so thank you. This is in short about the exhibition, and Željka will continue with our programs.
Yeah, following this last part, predominantly of the exhibition regarding contemporary migrations and border crossing, we organized the exhibition The Passage, which is a result of communal work of women who, under leadership of the artist Selma Banic and our colleague ethnologist Mariana Hammerschak, made this memorial cloth with the portraits of all people who died crossing the border between Croatia and Bosnia and Herzegovina and Serbia. And that exhibition was actually the starting point for discussion with young people, predominantly students and high school students, about how they think about migration today, what do they think about the role of the state, police, the treatment of people who are searching a better life and do not have a valid visa or a passport. And also through this project, some other issues were opened, like for instance homophobia, which is one of the burning issues in Croatian society. So by this exhibition and with the support of the journalist Barbara Matejčić, who made a documentary radio drama, we organized a public hearing, and after that discussion on a series of ethical questions related to issues of migration, increasing racism in our society, as well as the way how young people perceive their life in Croatia. Do they consider them privileged or not? And many other issues. Some of them were followed, discussions were followed in their schools. But I have to say that working with young people here in Croatia, using museum as a resource for learning and development of critical thinking is not an easy task. And there are several reasons for them. Predominantly, schooling system or educational system in Croatia is related to the classroom, and majority of the activities are within the school building, and it is very hard to bring young people to spend some time in a museum. Moreover, in Croatia we have a huge problem in introducing something which is called civil upbringing, or issues in raising civil consciousness among young people, how to be citizens, what are the citizens' rights, because the educational curricula still lacks topics on these issues, which actually has as a result very sad fact, actually, that very huge percentage of young people in Croatia are very conservative and not very open to other cultures. So being an educator here at the Ethnographic Museum, I do put a lot of effort of bringing youngsters to the museum and to open their mind and their hearts, I would say, to inclusiveness, to cultural diversity. In last 5 years, for example, in Croatia, we have been witnessing increasing number of foreign workers from predominantly Asian countries working in a different kind of low-paid services job. And as the number of foreign workers increases, violence against these people also increases a lot. And the state, to my mind, does not act properly in diminishing or reducing violent acts of Croatian citizens. So to also say a couple of words of how we try to work with our visitors and audiences of different ages in terms of opening the perspective of not an easy and very aesthetic, beautiful objects. We organize workshops, discussion groups, also public lectures. But I have to say that issues on hard or difficult heritage does not have very or don't have very big interest of audiences. I think that somehow people are not very willing to discuss hard issues. So we try to also use poetry and artistic work to bring some issues on the top. So for instance, we had a poetry recital or poetry morning in the exhibition, also showing people from Nepal reading their poetry and then with audiences discussing how did they feel and what they think about Nepalese poetry, not understanding a word, because deliberately we did not translate any of the poems. And actually the poetry was kind of a very interesting opening hall for discussion and opening of the people and somehow revealing or widening their perspectives. So I think I will stop here, and now we can start our discussion. Most probably I forgot something, but then maybe in the discussion it will come up. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you, Dr. Željka Jelavić and Maria Živković. So I must admit that I was not aware that on the Balkans, in our region, that we will have to deal, we can deal in any way with decolonization. So when I visited your museum and when I was introduced to your exhibition, so it came up to my mind that you need to present it here, because this is a topic, that need to be shared, because here we also have like the feeling that that we were not part of this. We were just, staying on the side, but your work shows these issues of power representation and marginalization. It is even now presented in many forms. And with all this in mind, I'd also love to open the floor for discussion. So if anyone have questions,